make sure you hit subscribe. It's right over there, I swear. Or maybe it's there. It's one of them. It's a button. It's red. Click it. Nick had his top 50 players of the last 50 years in the NBA, and I got to give him credit. I knew LeBron would be one, and I knew Jordan wouldn't be. But I grew up with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In fact, when I was a kid in my driveway, that was who I mimicked. Bizarrely, not a guard. I did the hook shot. And for people of Nick's generation, it's easy to forget how dominant Kareem was. He literally has the greatest, most unstoppable shot ever. He was all-NBA defense like 15 times. So, Nick, when you were doing this list, you knew Kareem would be up there.
Yep.
Was there ever a revelation? I'll tell you one of the revelations I had with him. So years ago, I watched an HBO documentary, I think, on Lou Alcindor. And they showed video of his first year at UCLA. It was about a 12-second clip. Okay, UCLA, they were national champs. He played for the freshman team, and they beat him by 40 in a scrimmage.
Yep.
So,
they were the best team in basketball, and the freshman team beat them. So here's the thing on the Kareem thing, because something very interesting has been being sent my way, which was one of my very first appearances on your show back in 2016. I did my top 20 ever at that point, and I had Kareem behind Michael, behind LeBron, I think also behind Magic, and people have said to me, oh, okay, so Kareem, I don't know if I had him behind Magic or not. In 2011, I did it for a radio show. People were like, oh, Kareem, scored a lot of points, did a lot in the last 5 years, huh, Nick? And the answer was no, I just hadn't done the research on it. I just was not, because here is the problem. There's a lot of levels to why Kareem doesn't get the... I am not arguing Kareem's the greatest player ever. I am arguing the greatest player ever discussion should be three names. It has been, for some people, it has been one name forever, Jordan. For some people, they've opened it up just enough to say LeBron could be in it. I'm arguing Kareem is in the discussion.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things I think one of the things that has hurt his, reputation amongst people my age or younger. They are old enough to remember him as a lesser version of himself. It's not like Wilt or Russell, who we never saw. I did see Kareem, but he was wearing goggles and he was scoring 17 points a game on Magic's team. So it's like when you think of Kareem, you're not thinking of Lou Alcindor, the Milwaukee Bucks, how dominant he was. I think you're thinking of kind of, balding, gawky-looking guy with goggles, and that's not who he was. And so the argument for Kareem is very simple. Take it out of basketball. Let's go to football. And let's pretend Tom Brady didn't exist, okay? And it's like we're trying to figure out who the best quarterback ever is. It's between three guys. And I'm going to make the case for player A. Player A has, of the whole group, the most MVPs. He has thrown the most touchdowns. He has been to the most Super Bowls. And he's tied for the most Super Bowl wins. Would anyone argue, well, he's not in the discussion? Of course not. Kareem's got the most points, the most MVPs, the same rings as Jordan, the same finals appearances as LeBron. He's got to be in the discussion. And so once you agree that it's a three-person discussion, someone's got to come in third. And that's where the Jordan folks are going to get mad at me. But when we're talking about the greatest ever, every little bit matters. Jordan played far, far shorter than the other guys. You can argue he reached a higher peak if you want, but when he played really 7 years less than Kareem or LeBron did, that has to matter. Because they played at high. LeBron is still playing at a high level. Kareem, we have been told, Colin, that Michael Jordan averaging 20 points a game for a shitty Wizards team at age 40 is a badge of honor. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar averaged 22 points a game in the NBA Finals at age 40. So then we go to when they first walked into the league, Kareem was the best player. LeBron was finishing top 3 in MVP by year 2, and he was straight out of high school. And then it's also like, oh, okay, so let's just, what's the profile coming into the league? I don't know, LeBron was the greatest prospect ever. Kareem was a franchise changer that took a 27-win team to 56 wins. Jordan took a 27-win team to 38 wins. They both had won 27 games before he got there. And Jordan was a really good college player who went third in the draft. Like, that's interesting. Was Kareem ever going to go third in the draft? I don't think so. Was LeBron ever going to go third in the draft? I don't think so. So listen, they're all unbelievable. I think Kareem has been, and one last point, I think the media barely covers outspoken black guys now fairly. How about we go 50 years ago and he's a converted Muslim? How do we think the average sports writer covered Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he's battling John Havlicek? Probably not great.
I always thought it was this simple. I'll ask you a question. The biggest knock on Jordan is this. How many playoff series did he win without Scottie Pippen?
0. He won one playoff game without Scottie Pippen.
Kareem and LeBron won multiple championships with other players. Jordan could not win without Pippen. And Michael, by the way, because of his...
Go ahead, sorry.
Because of Michael's style, which you often saw. You saw it in Washington. You saw it in his first 5 years in Chicago. He did not play well with other scorers. He played well with Pippen, who acknowledged he would be in the passenger seat. LeBron won without Kyrie. He won without AD. He won without titles, without D. Wade. Kareem won in Milwaukee. Kareem won in Los Angeles multiple times. Like, there is value that Brady, we know Tom is wonderful. The idea that he can win a title with Bruce Arians, with a different collection and a different culture, absolutely establishes him as a notch above Elway, Manning. It matters.
Right. You mentioned Pippen. I always go to Phil Jackson. Jordan, of course, would have been a champion without Phil Jackson. I believe that.
Right.
But it is an element of Kareem won titles with 3 different head coaches. LeBron has won titles with 3 different head coaches and been to the finals with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different head coaches. Michael had Phil the whole time. And though, again, if Michael had played longer and played at that level, then maybe he's the guy. And he obviously is the guy for a lot of people. But the other thing is that people are like, why didn't Kareem win more in the 70s? And that's a fair knock. But what's also true is where I don't think people, because again, I'm an NBA nerd, and it wasn't until I did this project that I really drilled down on it. There were some weird things going on. All of a sudden, the NBA is like, hey, it's a best of 3 in round 1. It's like a best of 3. There was one year Kareem's team had the second best record in their entire conference, but they didn't get a bye because they didn't win their division, and now they're in a best of 3 against Moses Malone, and it's like, well, that sucks. You lost game 1, you lost game 3. Your season's over. It's like, we won 54 games. So I averaged 34 points a game in these 3 games. I'm out. The season's over.
Yeah.
I can't defend my title. So some weird stuff happened. And I think that my general, if people take anything away from this project, and you know how long I've been working on it because I was working on it with you a couple of years ago. I would like it to be at least when people talk about the greatest player ever, I don't care if they land on LeBron. I think it is LeBron. I think my kids will look at it unequivocally as LeBron. However, I want them to open the possibility that it's Kareem. That it should not be considered just a Michael versus LeBron thing, that Kareem should be included in it.